Love it. No excuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are no excuses. Well, good stuff. Wedding all night long. Good week so far?
Oh yeah. Yeah, this was our first week kind of actually operating out of the office, which was cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I saw that y'all got that office.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been fun.
You got a photo of it to share on the screen?
Ooh. I probably could.
Yeah.
I have a couple walkthroughs, but
It's in New Braunfels.
mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, here's the foyer. If you want to call it that.
We'll give people a few minutes to join here.
All right. Let's see. The conference room, we got some machine picks.
Let's see that. Oh, I can't see the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I texted to you.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right, we're going to do a little screen share this morning. All right, we'll give people one more minute to join. See my screen, Jacob?
Oh, yes.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
So today we're going to be talking about a decision-making framework, and I'll tell you where this came from, Jacob. It's over in Accelerator, there have been some questions that continually come up, and I've realized that as owners and operators, we have consistent questions that bounce around in our head that we don't know the answers to. And I'm sure you see this all the time too. But I started thinking through, I've had some time to reflect this week as we're down here in Florida for my daughter's spring break. And I was just kind of like walking through and thinking about, okay, like how do we think about making decisions, especially as owners and operators? Because early on, like we're the only ones who are making the decisions, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So for any of those of you who are joining, please post in the chat who you are, where you're from, what business you operate. Welcome to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast. This week, we're going to be doing a little bit different format. I'm going to cover a topic that's been on my mind, and then we're going to keep it open, do some Q&A at the very end. So post in the chat, let us know who you are, where you're from. Say good morning. Good morning, Corey. Good to see you on here. Corey has been crushing it with ads. Love to see it, man. You guys are doing a good job down there.
He really is. His videos been amazing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's kick it off here. So today we're going to be talking about decision-making framework. Owner operators, we've got a million different things bouncing around in our head at any given time. But the reality is we have limited decision-making capacity each and every day. There are plenty of things that we could be working on and focusing on. Let's see. I'm going to mute you real quick here, Jacob, if you don't mind.
For sure.
Oh, I can't do it from my end. You mind to do it from your end?
Something happening?
Just getting a little bit of feedback, if you don't mind to mute. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a million different things bouncing around in our head. You could spend your time on any of these million different things. So my goal for this today is to make sure that we're actually asking the right questions so that you can kill the distractions fast and then make the decision to focus on the thing that's actually going to move the business forward. So here's a simple 3-part decision-making framework, okay? Let's first understand, what game are you playing? If you have not set a 12-month target yet, or a target for the year, let's just start there. Go set your target. What target are you actually working on? Is it revenue? Is it profit? Just define those things. Okay. Set a revenue goal, set a profit goal. Number two, we got to understand what's actually holding us back from getting us to that goal. And then number three, those questions that are bouncing around in our head, everything that we're trying to solve right now, I believe if we run that question through this lens, then we can get crystal clear on, are we focusing on the right things at the right time? So that third question is, this question I'm asking, or the thing I'm trying to solve, is that going to help me solve the bottleneck over the next 90 days? Okay. And if it's not, then it's a distraction. And we as entrepreneurs, look, myself included, I have to state this in the beginning. I fall into this trap as often, if not more often, than everybody listening to this. And Jacob knows that about me. But if we just first understand that shiny objects are our biggest distraction, then we can start to learn to acknowledge it. And then we start to see the patterns of whenever we're going down a route of a shiny object. And if we bring us back to number two, if we figure out what's actually holding us back, then we can understand, is the question related to helping us solve that bottleneck? So first, let's define the game. Are you a starter, operator, or an owner? These are rough general guidelines of just like different growth phases of business. But the reason we separate these out is because starters are going to experience very similar things as other starters as far as bottlenecks go. Operators are going to experience very similar bottlenecks as other operators are. And then owners are going to be experiencing very similar bottlenecks in these revenue growth phases. Okay. And you can see I have listed out some common things that you might be dealing with. Right. But on this slide, we're going to be covering the four main bottlenecks that everybody's going to deal with at some point in the 0 to 1 million phase. And the first one, which is what Jacob specializes in, is leads. You have to figure out, how do I go get leads in the business? Okay. And if you're not getting enough calls, or if you don't have enough quote requests, then you don't have enough leads. That's your biggest bottleneck. If you're getting leads, but you're not closing them, then you have a sales bottleneck. Okay. And if you're getting leads and actually closing jobs, but you're still going back and fulfilling the work and the equipment, and it feels like chaos, then you likely have a capacity or a hiring issue. Okay. And then if you're getting leads and selling jobs, and then you have people running the equipment, you might have a pricing and cash issue if your bank account is not going up at that point. Because if we're doing all three of those well, and if we're priced right, the bank account should be going up, the profit should be going up. And if it's not, then you have a pricing and cash issue. Okay. So those are the four different big bottlenecks that I've seen working with people in the 0 to 1 million phase and running my own business to get it to 0 to 1. Okay. So let's just go over some quick constraints that everybody experiences during the starter phase. So in the beginning, you first have to develop your pricing. And that is why, for those of you who are in the free school group, that is why we start with pricing right there. Because if you don't understand how to price, everything else is going to get messed up along the way. But if you can start with the correct pricing, then you're starting with a good baseline. Okay. But let's assume that you have already put together your crew day rate pricing. You've gone through the school group, you've put that together. Now you have to figure out how to go get leads. Okay. So a lot of people in the starter phase are still asking the question, how do I go get leads? If you figured out how to go get leads, you're either natural at sales and you're good at it, or if you're not closing jobs, then you have a sales constraint. All right. Once you figure out how to go get leads and start selling jobs, then you start hovering around that 20K per month. All right. And in between 20 and 40K, you're going to have to figure out how to hire other people to run the equipment. All right. And so at that phase, you are going to experience a hiring or a chaos constraint, right? Like that's the bottleneck that's holding you back. And so what's really interesting is when, if you haven't done that before, if that feels hard, then you're going to revert back to something that's comfortable. So some of you at this phase will just stay in the equipment operating phase. You're just going to stay in the equipment because it's comfortable to you. Hey, I can get leads, I can sell the jobs, but I really don't want to go do this hiring thing. So I'm just going to operate the equipment. And that's going to be your biggest bottleneck, unless you decide to go figure out how to build a hiring process and how to recruit, train, and retain people. All right. And once you figure that out, once again, if you are doing all three of those well, leads, sales, and hiring, but your bank account's not going up, then you have a pricing issue. Okay. So it's just this virtuous cycle. How do we find the biggest bottleneck? Well, it's pretty simple. If you don't have enough calls or quote requests, if your calendar has big gaps, then you have a leads issue. If the leads are coming in, but you're not closing enough at your target crew day rate, then you have a sales issue. If you're selling work, but you can't deliver on the time or the quality without chaos, especially for you, then you probably have a capacity or a hiring issue. Okay. And once again, if you're busy, like if your schedule is full, but your bank account's not increasing or you still feel broke, then we've got a pricing and cash issue. Okay. So these last three slides are just meant to reiterate that we can bring all of these bottlenecks back to, excuse me, all of the questions that you're asking in your head back to these bottlenecks right here. All right. So my question for you, if you're listening, what's actually holding you back right now? Do you understand your biggest bottleneck? For those of you who are here live, if there's one that jumps out to you, post that in the chat right now. What's your biggest bottleneck? Is it leads? Is it sales? Is it capacity and hiring? Or is it pricing and cash? Post it over here in the chat and we'll revisit it in the Q&A, okay? So we are going to go through this as an example for each and every one of you, okay? So in order to diagnose where your constraint is, if you did not have one that just jumps right out at you, ask this question. Okay, for those of you who have been listening, you know who Jacob is. Jacob is the founder of Rise Online Ads. They specialize in getting leads specifically for forestry mulching and land clearing contractors. So if Jacob were to dump 2 times the amount of qualified leads on you this next month, what would actually happen? If you got twice the amount of qualified leads coming at you, what would happen to your business? Now, I want you to answer this question in the chat with an either A or a B. So A would be, yeah, we could fulfill with solid quality and schedule. If that's you, post A in the chat. If it's B, like we would fall behind or it would turn into chaos, then post B in the chat. Okay. And if you answered A, I want to ask this question. Out of 10 decent quotes at your real crew day rate, assuming you've already filled out your pricing sheet in the school group, how many would you close? Out of 10 of them, if you went and did 10 site visits, how many would you actually close? And be honest with yourself. If it's less than 3, you've got a sales bottleneck. That would mean you're closing less than 30%. Okay. If it's less than 2, for sure. If it's over that, all right, if you're closing fine, then the next question would be, if you work a full hard month, are you actually keeping enough profit in the bank? Okay, so you're getting leads. We've just dumped twice the amount of leads on you. You're saying that you're selling more than 4 out of 10. What does the bank account actually look like? Are you keeping enough profit in there? And if you're not, if you feel busy, the schedule feels busy and it's full, but you still feel broke, then it's pricing in cash. So we know that we just need to fix your pricing. And so if that's you, go back. There are free resources inside the school community, school.com/ownerops. We have a crew day rate pricing sheet. Okay. And look, it's nothing novel. It's not rocket science. We're literally taking how much cost do you have for your equipment and your labor and your consumables, and then we're putting a profit margin on that. But the sheet is there for you to fill out so that you don't miss anything. Okay. So if you haven't done that, that's your homework. Go do that. If the profit is healthy, but you're not full, then once again, you have a leads issue. Okay, so we can bring everything back to these four bottlenecks in the 0 to 1 phase. So the next question becomes, how do we fix each bottleneck? Okay, once again, you've got a million different questions bouncing around in your head. Should I be doing this? Should I sell my skid steer? Should I buy a new trailer? Should I do all that stuff, right? But I want to bring us back to, does it fall within the main bottleneck? Are the questions you are asking right now actually the right questions you should be asking? Okay, if we're asking the right questions, we're going to come back to these four things: leads, sales, capacity and hiring, and pricing and cash. Okay. So if you've identified that you have a leads issue, you have one of two options. There are really only two at this point. You can either trade your time and you can go learn things like how to run Facebook ads. You can learn how to create content. You can learn door knocking strategies. You can learn direct mail strategies. But that option number one is to trade your time. Option number two is you trade your money. And when you trade your money, you can pay someone like Jacob, who has a proven track record of getting leads, to go solve that problem for you. Okay. So one of two options: you either trade your time or you trade your money. And at a very high level, that principle as an entrepreneur or business owner is what you consistently do that throughout the growth phases of the business. You either trade your time or you trade your money. Okay. Number two, if sales is the issue, then we need to go build a sales process. And that consists of first putting a script in place. Whenever you're calling your leads, what are you saying over the phone? Okay. Are you calling your leads fast? We talk about it all the time. I think we've mentioned it every single week. What is your speed to lead? How fast are you calling your leads? And if you're honest with yourself throughout this whole sales process, you know where you need to attack. Okay. What does your follow up process look like? What types of texts, emails are you sending throughout the sales process to the customer? What does your quoting process look like? Are you waiting to send quotes? Is it a week in between the time that you visit them on site to the time that they get a quote in their inbox? Is it a week in between the time that you send the quote to the time that you follow up with that quote? There's a good chance you're missing out on some. A good rule of thumb in sales: speed wins. Speed wins. Okay. For capacity and hiring, some of you are already getting leads and you're closing jobs, but you're still fulfilling the work in the equipment. You might be convinced, like some other contractors are, that there ain't no good help out there anymore. And I think that that is completely false. There are plenty of great people who want to do a great job and they want to be paid a steady W 2 income. It's your job as the business owner or the entrepreneur to go find that person and present them with the opportunity and pay them well, at or above average. And then finally, if you're doing all three of those things already, but the bank account is stagnant or not going up, then we need to fix the unit economics. Sometimes it's as simple as we need to increase prices. Okay. So, for the decision making framework, some of you are asking questions right now like, hey, should I keep or sell this skid steer? Should I buy this hydraulic dovetail trailer? Hey, is the 100 horsepower, guys, I'm throwing some numbers out here. So don't hold me accountable to this, but it's like, is the 100 horse Bobcat as good as the 110 horse Takahauchi? My point with this is that if you're asking yourself those questions, I want you to ask another question. Is that actually solving the main thing that's holding my business back from growing? If I were to allocate brain space to that decision in the business, would this directly help remove my biggest bottleneck over the 90 days? Okay. Should I buy a skid steer? Which trailer should I get? Do I need my Class A CDL right now? Okay. And the only reason I put that one in here is because I've seen that multiple times. Guys, we have Chat GPT and AI and Claude at our fingertips right now. If you're asking a question of like, do I need my Class A CDL right now? You can get that answer for your area and your local jurisdiction very quickly with ChatGPT. Okay. So if you can get the answer fast, go get it. If the question that you're asking, like, should I buy or sell, should I buy another skid steer or should I sell my skid steer right now? I want you to ask the question, what's the real bottleneck in the business? And be honest with yourself. Is it leads that are holding you back? Is it sales? Is it hiring? Is it pricing and cash flow? If you can understand what's actually holding yourself back, then you can start to develop a framework for where to allocate your time and where to get the most out of that time allocation. Because if you can understand what's holding your business back at that time, you can focus all the effort and energy on going to solve that. And that is the framework for which to ask the right questions. Hey, is the question I'm asking going to solve the bottleneck over the next 90 days? And if it's not something that we should be using our limited brain space as an entrepreneur on right now. And what I'm not saying is that you shouldn't make that decision at some point. My recommendation is if you're asking these questions right now, go create a Google Doc, write that question down if it's not in line with solving the biggest bottleneck. We can revisit those things at a later date. But there's likely one thing that's just holding you back from growth right now. And there's a good chance you might be avoiding it because it's hard. And look, I said this at the beginning. I find myself doing this. When I get to another level, it becomes hard. And it usually comes down to I don't yet have the skills in my quiver to go attack this problem right now. So what do? I creatively avoid it and go and find something else to work on. And so that's my big question for you right now. If you're watching this, is what you're working on actually the thing that's going to move the business forward? And if it's not, then we need to identify where the bottleneck is. Once we identify where the bottleneck is, we need to go attack that bottleneck as fast as we possibly can with as much brute force and as much energy and effort to solve that thing. Okay. I've already covered this. Basically, it's like if I'm deciding on whether or not, I have this piece of equipment that's operating at 30% capacity right now, and I'm unclear on whether or not I should keep it or sell it. My question is, what's the target for this year for revenue and profit? And then what's the biggest bottleneck right now? What's actually holding you back from getting to that revenue and profit target? And if you can answer yes, that this is the right question, then keep solving it. If it's not related to that, go write it down on a Google Doc. And then let's go solve the biggest bottleneck. Okay. So here's a quick rule: in between the 100K to a million mark, let's be clear about the game that we're playing. What is the 12-month revenue and profit target? Do you understand where you're at in that starter, operator, and owner? That's pretty straightforward, right? But number three, let's pick the single biggest bottleneck that's holding us back. Is it leads? Is it sales? Is it crew and capacity? Or is it pricing and cash? And if it's not, like, the question that you're asking right now in your head, if that is not related to solving that bottleneck, let's go write it down on a Google Doc to revisit at a later date. And then let's go attack the thing that's going to solve the bottleneck for us right here, right now, over the next 90 days. Okay. So for those of you who are just joining for the first time, we do have a free school group right now. Owner Ops on School. It's school.com/OWNROPS. Some of the people who are on here are in the school group, and they have already gone through what we call the Kickstarter training. If you're in the 0 to 20K, we've got a free training in there that goes over how to set your prices, how to go get leads, how to do basic sales scripts, things like that. So if you haven't jumped in there, you can join school.com/ownerops, SKOOL.com/OWNROPS. That wraps up this portion of it. Jacob, what specific questions do you have here? And then I know that you and I, whenever you came out and visited, we had a long conversation about one, shiny objects, but two, just being able to focus on the actual bottlenecks. Is there anywhere that, yeah, you want to jump in or add to this?
Absolutely. This was gold. I appreciate it. It applies all over the place, but three huge things. This is always going to be a flywheel. So once you solve the leads, sales is going to be the next constraint. Once you solve that, talent will be, or hiring will be the next constraint, and it'll kind of just keep going like that. When we say you need a good system for your business, or good businesses or sellable businesses have systems, that's like the true core. Like, yes, of course, CRM, you need the physical systems, but having the system to solve each constraint just in place already is what allows your business to 10x. And I'm not saying you always have to sell your business, but a sellable business is just a good business that will pay you a lot of money. And that's one thing they look for. You asked earlier, like, if we doubled your leads today, could you handle it, or what would it look like? Well, that's what anybody looking into your business is going to want to know. Like, if I dump $1 million into it and we 10x one area, what's going to break next? And so you always want to have those systems in place for that next thing. And then the other huge thing you said, how we tend to avoid hard things that are the right things. I just wanted to kind of piggyback there, that not necessarily hard work. Like, a lot of times we will work hard all day on the things that we are comfortable with or we're good at. That doesn't mean that they're easy in terms of like labor intensive or tediousness, but we will avoid things we don't necessarily know how to do because it's mentally hard. But those are usually the things that move the needle the most.
Yeah, it's interesting as I was thinking through it too. I think the first piece is acknowledging when you're doing it. It's like, where am I spending my time? And I mentioned this on a live stream a couple weeks ago. And for those of you who have been coming every week, you remember the big sheet that I wrote down that said track my time. So where is your time going? If you start by identifying that, where your time is going this week, it's a good starting point, right? But I've also realized that when I don't know how to do the next thing, it's often easier to just revert back to something that I know how to do inside and out within the business. And here's the interesting thing. This piece slapped me in the face when I realized this the other day. The less I change about the business right now at this phase, the better it actually grows. And so we as entrepreneurs, it's like, okay, we get to a certain level, something gets hard, we don't know how to solve that. So then we go try to tinker with the thing that's already working to maybe make it 5% better. When in all reality, if you've got other people who operate off that thing, if we make a change, there is going to be a dip in productivity, regardless. Because the reality is most people just don't like change, right? And so I've noticed this as I've started to pay attention. When I get to a level and something feels hard and I don't know how to do it, I revert back to something that I know how to do. For example, the system, like that's what I geek out on, like the CRM, everything. Our system works great right now. Like it's working. Yet when I find myself going and trying to tweak it and tinker with it, I'm like, this is because I'm just creatively avoiding something that I know that I need to do in the business to grow.
Yes. And the worst version of that, guys get good at the like 0 to 100K. And then when it gets hard and they can't break past it, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go get a dump trailer and I'm gonna start renting out dump trailers. And then they're like, oh, I'm gonna offer tree service. Oh, I'm gonna offer landscaping. Because they get good at that 0 to 100. And so a lot of times that shiny object is not, it's beyond even just something in your business. It's just shifting to another business because you've already figured out how to go from 0 to 6 figures. And then because you can't figure out how to get past it, you're like, oh, let me just go try to do that again over here. And a lot of guys get stuck in that loop for a lot of years.
And so I think this is important to touch on because and look, I look back on the growth phase and the mistake I made, and I've talked about it before. To your point, it's like, okay, we got good at fire mitigation. Sweet. Now we can go replicate that and do this in excavation and do the same thing. And I see so many guys do the exact same thing, especially in this like tree and dirt world. Hey, we get good at buying equipment, we get good at selling the service, so why wouldn't we buy more equipment and sell a different service? When in all reality, we have to ask ourselves, is the schedule actually full? Could we take on more work with that piece of equipment? And if the answer is yes, we just need to be going and selling more of that equipment, more services associated with the equipment we already have. And so I think shiny object syndrome shows up in our businesses within the equipment consistently. It's like, I could go buy that other piece and then offer that service. Yet we haven't solved the hiring issue for how to hire and replace ourselves in that current piece of equipment that's operating. Yet somehow we all magically think that we can be in 3 places at once operating 3 different pieces of equipment on the same day at the same time. And then there's a certain point where you realize, man, that created way more chaos, caused me way more headache, and now it's actually costing me money. How has this shown up in your business, Jacob? When did you realize? I mean, you told me, I remember you said early on, you were like, I had like 4 businesses at once, and I had to just strip it down to focus on growing the actual one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody thought, everybody thought like, wow, he's just really doing it. He has how many businesses does he have now? And people always kind of saw it almost like it's a good thing. And I'm like, dude, this is a horrible idea. But in the moment, the opportunity would pop up and I'm like, man, that's so easy to get into. Man, I could market for that. And then all of a sudden I had 4 businesses making 6 figures and it was like I couldn't break through on any of them because your time is so split. Even if I wanted to try to solve the right issue and not look at the shiny object, I'd box myself in from that, and that's where you start coming to the hard decisions of, like, if you get yourself into those spots, now the hard decision is not just, oh, do you do this or don't do it? It's like you have to cut something, and cut something that is seemingly good. And you said this earlier, you could work on something all day that like marginally increases your business by 5%. And you do that all the time. But with the inflation and different things, like, that's never really going to help you, versus if you focus on the thing that's going to 10x. And so that's the way I look at things now, is like, what's stopping me from 10xing this year?
So I'll keep his name private once again, but somebody who's on this live stream asked the question this week, and I appreciate the question because I believe that all of us have asked that same question. It's like, okay, I've got this piece of equipment. It's costing me money right now. It's only working 30% of the time, right? Do I keep it or do I go sell it right now? And this question made me think through this, and was really the motivation behind this whole thought process this morning for this decision-making framework. Do I believe that decision needs to be made? Yes, absolutely I do. I do still believe that there has to be a framework for which we allocate time, especially in the owner-operated phase, because you are so unbelievably strapped for time and decision-making ability. And if we try to do 100 different things at once and make 100 different decisions at once, we realize that none of them actually get made. And we're busy, tired at the end of the day. We're trying to go home, give time and effort and energy to our family, and then show up again the next day with a bunch of unmade decisions in our head, which actually take up brain space.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just think through, okay, if I were in his shoes, how would I think about this with just a clear strategic way to focus on the decision that needs to be made at that specific time? And so I really genuinely believe it's like the decision needs to be made. We need to decide, are we going to keep that skid steer or are we going to sell it for the long-term business plan? But in my opinion, that needs to be directed by the entrepreneur in that market. We need to understand, what's the vision of the company? Are we doing mid-size land clearing? Are we doing mid-size forestry mulching? Are we focusing on small jobs? Are we focusing on large jobs? We have to get clear on that target first, and that takes brain space and time. So my recommendation is, if you're asking a question like that, go write it down on a Google Doc, especially if you're not 100% clear on the decision right now. Then for the exercise, I want everybody on here to go focus on, where is the biggest bottleneck? What's actually holding the business back right now? Is it amount of leads? Is it sales? Or is it hiring? And I see a lot of owner operators get stuck at the hiring piece, because like,
Mm-hmm.
you could share this right now. Getting the leads, and I wanted to paint this framework. It's like, if you just pay Jacob and you're in the forestry, mulching, and land clearing business, like, they have so many case studies at this point and so much data to work with, like, you're gonna get leads. It's not the question. Like, as long as you follow their scripts, right, and do what they ask you to do, you're gonna get leads. So that one's actually an easy box to check. Now, if you want to save the money and don't want to pay, then you have to trade your time, right? But you have to go figure out how to get leads first, because that's the whole thing that holds this thing up. There's no point in focusing on sales if you can't get leads. So then, like, once you check the leads box, then you're in the sales perspective. And if you're good at that and you're closing jobs and your schedule's booked out, great. Like, a lot of people who are listening to this are probably in that phase. You've hired Jacob, you're getting the leads, you're closing jobs, because this is an in-demand service. It's why we like being in this industry, right? It's a fun time to be in it, because you can get leads with Facebook ads, you can close jobs by showing up, tucking your shirt in, looking people in the eye, shaking their hand, and bringing the right equipment to do the right job. Those two are pretty straightforward. But then where a lot of guys bounce off is, I don't know how to hire. I've never done it before. I have no process in place, and I don't want to look like an idiot. And that's fair. I think all of us have been there. All of us have. But you get one of two choices at this point. You can either revert back to what you know how to do and what's comfortable, or you can address the uncomfortable, build the skills, and go get some reps at hiring. And so that's ultimately what it comes down to.
And I just want to cherry on top of that good hiring is just like good marketing. You got to have a good reputation. You have to figure out how to make sure that the people wanting to work know you exist, and you have to be desirable for them to want to work there.
Anything you want to add on the hiring piece? If a guy the guy's never hired before, what are 1 to 3 things that you would share with them?
Yeah, document, demonstrate, delegate. So if you don't know exactly how you do something and why, and can't write it down and follow that, then you're not going to be able to give it to someone else. So you need to document it, even if you're like maybe not necessarily ready to hire today. You should be documenting what you do every day, how, why, and when, and then you follow that directly, so that when they come in, you can clearly show them do this and that. Because a lot of times guys will even get a good hire and then it doesn't go well because they don't know how to train them, don't know how to show them what good looks like. They just know it in their head. Well, guess what? You just like when you first had to learn to run equipment, it's a skill set to be able to train somebody and to be able to make sure they're doing their job right and showing them what good looks like and being able to keep track of that. So that's going to be huge when it comes to the hiring side.
For sure. Okay, let's go through the chat here. We've got all right, we've got leads as the issue for Brandon. Okay, so basically 1 of 2 options. It's either like trade your time, go learn how to. I mean, y'all know this at this point. Like, I'm a big fan of Facebook ads because the industry is just wide open.
Yeah.
Or you figure out how to go do 100 outreaches every single day. Pick up the phone, make 100 dials to somebody in your industry. General contractors, real estate agents, property managers. Pick up the phone, developers. Let them know that you exist. Okay, if you've got an email list, you can send emails. Some of you have Facebook groups for your local areas. Pretty much every local area has a Facebook group. Okay, you can post in there about your service. But 1 of the 2, you either need to figure out how to go trade your time and learn how to do that, which we've got free resources in the school group, or hire the pro. It's straightforward there. Okay. Charles says leads as well. Okay. So Colby says B from the decision-making framework. So you would fall behind on chaos. And so Colby, I hope you're good with me sharing. So Colby's put in the work over the last year. He's getting the leads. He's doing a great job of sales. He's added another crew, and he's filled the crews. Now he's at the point of hiring for the project manager. And so like his big bottleneck right now is he is recruiting for a project manager. So any of you right now who are listening to this, if you know somebody who wants to move up to Washington State and has experience running tree crews, the perfect candidate would be somebody who was at Bartlett, was at Save a Tree, I guess second tier candidate would be somebody who's managing excavation crews, because it's basically same things, right? Like you're managing and overseeing crews of people. So small plug for Colby. If any of you know anybody who is a very detail-oriented operations manager, Colby's paying well up there, and he's actively recruiting. But he's putting in the work of the same principles that apply to going and getting leads. He's reaching out to people on LinkedIn. He's going to be running Facebook ads to attract this person. He's basically taking the same principles that you use to go get leads, to go find people. And so it's just this cycle. And I think once you realize that, you can put these decisions into buckets for where you can go focus your time.
And I just want to add on that what I was talking about earlier, like having true systems for scale in your business. You need that for lead sales and hiring. So like a big excavation or a big construction company because there's not, when I say big, like there's not big land clearing and forestry mulching companies yet, really. There's a handful that you could kind of say, but they're just on these giant like government contracts. They're not like us in terms of how they run their business. But these big excavation and construction companies, they have career pages on their website. They've got a bench of people waiting to work for them. They have a team of sales guys and a bench of sales guys to bring in. They've got 5 lead sources, any of which they can dial up at any point. That's what I mean when you have a true system in your business. And each time you get to that point, you just have the next thing. So you can just dump the gas on it when you're ready.
Love it. Love it. Corey said we treat the crew day rate form like our Bible. I love it. Yeah, it's so incredibly important. And I think there are plenty of people who are listening to this who may not have gone through that yet. And there are also plenty of people in the industry who have no idea what the costs to run this business actually are. And so my encouragement to everybody listening, just understand your costs. How much does your equipment cost you? How much does your labor cost you? And how much do ongoing consumables cost? And then what profit margin do you want to generate in the business? And if you're just very clear about that, it now takes emotion out of it and you put logic into your brain. And then whenever you show up on site and you sell at a specific rate, it's no longer an emotional decision of like, am I giving this customer a good deal or not? It's just the price for operating the business. So I would encourage you, if you have not gone through that yet, do what Corey is doing. Go through the crew day pricing sheet and figure out how much it actually costs you to run your business. Okay. Anyone else have any questions in the chat? I'm going to go through a couple of these, but if you've got a specific question, we've got 10 more minutes here before we're going to wrap up. But yeah, how can we help you guys grow this week? Post the question in the chat. So Charles said it's sales. I have a new trailer leased, Kubota 97.3 FAE head, and a truck that has took it. Okay. So Charles, are you getting enough leads to have appointments on the book? And if it's sales, my first question would be, how fast are you calling leads? And how fast are you booking the site visits at that point? Hear me out on this, guys. Speed wins in sales. I've seen this question get asked a couple times. Hey, what do I do if I'm operating the machine? You got the answer?
Stop, answer the phone, or call them. The other day we were setting up our new office, and it was at 9 o'clock at night, and there was somebody who wanted to jump on a sales call, and the sales team wasn't available. So guess what I did? Popped open the computer, sat in there, had a call with them. Guess what they did? They paid me. You know, you could argue I'm doing bigger things, I'm there. I'm the owner of the business. I have all these teams. Should I really be doing this? But at the end of the day, if you want the business to grow, like, and you want to not burn your money on your leads and sales, you gotta work it, and sometimes that means it's you. Um, and a business that's not making sales is not growing.
Love it. Love it. "30 years, get to a point, then turn business or open a second company, try to run two at once." Yeah, I mean, look, all of us have done it, myself included. Jacob's done it. Like, I think that's just the entrepreneur's kryptonite. And then the first step is just acknowledging that that's going to be my kryptonite. And the more disciplined I can be with saying no to the new and the shiny objects. And look, I'm telling myself this as much as anybody on here because I know that our growth um, is dictated by that,
Yeah.
to some degree, right? Corey said, "Could we set up a school virtual meetup to do mock sales?" That sounds like a good idea. I will. Let's talk about that in the school group.
Mock sales role play would be obviously the closest thing you would get. If you didn't have the time or you wanted to do it daily or something like that, you can set up ChatGPT in voice mode and feed it your script and feed it common objections and questions from customers. And you turn it on voice mode and you can have mock sales with ChatGPT. It's a good little back end training.
Sweet. Is it good? Have you done
Yeah.
it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Our sales team does it.
But is it trained though is it trained on your SOPs?
Yeah. And we've also given it a bunch of call recordings, but
Okay.
selling a land clearing job, you know what the frequently asked questions are, you know what the objections are.
Yeah. I just want to make, because like yours is probably outstanding because of how you've trained it. So I will state this: if you guys are going to use AI for anything, just make sure that you train it. Like,
Yes.
the value of your outputs is going to be based on the inputs that you put in. I was thinking about this as far as topics. I do want to ask the group here, what topics do you want us to cover moving forward? Is there any specific topic that is coming to mind? The one that is on my mind right now is AI and how to use AI best. Would that be interesting to people? If so, put a yes. If not, put something that's more interesting to you, and we will add that to the live stream schedule here. Virtual reps. Okay. Yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you. Sweet. Okay. Cool. Well, I hope this was helpful, guys. And I hope that this helps you kind of run all the craziness and the madness in your mind through some sort of a decision-making framework. To recap here, are you held up by the amount of leads you're getting? Are you held up by your sales process? Do you have an operations or crew issue? Or is it chaos? Or do you have a pricing and cash flow issue? Okay. We've got a couple yeses on AI. I've been doing a lot of fun stuff with Claude. So the high level premise is the value of your outputs are based on how well you train it on the beginning. And so I will put that together for my next slide deck for how to get the most out of using Claude for your back office. Guys, I fully believe that we're at a point in time right now where if something can be done on the computer, like back office admin, there will be a point in time where if you have AI trained well enough, theoretically, that thing on a keyboard or on a mouse could be done by an AI agent. And I think it's important that we stay ahead of this and then open to adapting to new technologies, because if you look back at history, the companies who have done the best are the ones who are open to adapting to new technology, even though it is change. So we got a lot of yeses over here. I will do that for my next one. Jacob, you're up next week. And so I won't speak for you, but you guys will get a surprise topic unless you've got one in mind right now that you want feedback on.
You're
gonna
Yeah, I've got a lot on the mind. I'm gonna have to narrow it down
Okay.
to the priority. But yeah, I'll let you know.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Owner House Podcast and the land clearing live stream with Jacob from Rise Online Ads. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. We'll see you next week, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Central. We will be live on the YouTube channels. You can tune in. We always make time for Q&As at the end. If you have not yet jumped in the free school group, it's school.com/ownerops, SKOOL.com/OWNROPS. We've got starter spreadsheets in there, Kickstarter trainings. We go over pricing, lead flow, and how to get the business rolling. So if you're not in there, we'll see you over there. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next week.